Hello, everyone. I'm Corrado Sala, Senior Vice President of Strategy for Carnival Corporation, the largest leisure travel company in the world. Thank you to the Edelman Committee and organization for pursuing this illustrious competition in the difficult environment we are facing in 2020. It's a great honor for us to be recognized with the other finalists and present YODA, our advanced analytics masterpiece. YODA stands for Yield Optimization and Demand Analytics and is our state of the art revenue management system. It's a product we built to maximize yield, which is a measure of revenue per available cabin on our ships. Personally, I'm very excited of being here today. I was hired a few years ago to define, set up, and lead the project when a state-of-the-art revenue management system was simply an idea few people had in mind. Together with a fantastic and diverse team of over 50 people, I had the privilege to work on its initial design, to build the first prototype, and finally to deliver a full-fledged system now used by hundreds of colleagues around the world. On behalf of the entire YODA team, I can share our excitement and pride for this recognition. In fact, our entire company is incredibly excited about it. So let's hear it directly from our CEO, Arnold Donald, who has always supported YODA.
Hello, everyone. I'm Arnold Donald, President and CEO of Carnival Corporation and PLC. We are honored to be here today and to be recognized by the Edelman Committee for our state-of-the-art revenue management system, YODA. Encompassing 7 of our world's leading cruise brands, YODA has been a success in our pursuit of advanced revenue analytics. It's proven to be transportable as we expand usage across brand and products. YODA has not only driven significant incremental revenue, it's also brought science and operations research to the forefront of many of our decisions. YODA has empowered a global community of scientists who collaborate on our most challenging revenue management problems and who effectively leverage our scale. It set a benchmark for ways of working on other initiatives across our brands. We are facing unprecedented challenges in the world right now, and the cruise industry is certainly no different. Our highest responsibilities and our top priorities always are compliance, environmental protection, and the health, safety, and well-being of our guests, the people and the places we touch, and our crew and shoreside colleagues. When our brands sail again, and I guarantee you they will, I also guarantee you that YODA will once again be a critical part of our pricing decisions. Advanced analytics are a part of our future, largely thanks to the proven success of YODA. So thank you. Thank you to the Edelman Committee for this recognition and honor.
Thank you, Arnold. To understand some of the complexities of the YODA project, we first want to explain you a bit more about our business. Carnival Corporation actually consists of 9 brands. Many of these brands joined the corporation through acquisitions and have historically operated quite independently from one another. Here you can see all the brands along with the primary markets they serve and the number of ships they operate. In total, as of January 1st of 2020, the corporation operated 105 ships ranging in guest capacity from a few hundred to over 5,000. Our ships sail around the world, calling in more than 700 ports. On a given day of normal operation, we have on board an average of more than 250,000 guests and 100,000 crew members. Each of our 9 brands offer an experience tailored to their guests. From the majesty and history of the ships of Cunard Line, to the fun ships of Carnival Cruise Lines, to the ultra-luxury small ships of Seabourn, we have an experience that meets every customer needs. Let's now see a quick video about the company, and then we will have Josh Feinstein, our Chief Operations Officer, to explain more of why YODA was needed.
Our journey began over a century ago, and today, with 9 cruise brands, sailing more than 12 million travelers every year to the most incredible destinations worldwide, across every ocean, to every continent, we have become the world's leading cruise lines, delivering amazing adventures and creating lifelong memories, driving our world forward with authentic guest experiences, immersive entertainment, game-changing innovation, all while being good stewards of the environment. With our guests always at our core, we connect people, places, and cultures around the world. We are the world's largest experience enterprise. We are Carnival Corporation.
Thanks, Toronto. As our ships move around the world, it's up to our revenue management teams to determine how to price the cruises our guests experience. When Yoda started, I was president of Carnival UK, overseeing the P&O Cruises and Cunard brands. I was able to see firsthand the challenges our revenue management teams faced, and I appreciate the benefits that Yoda brought to us. Now, to put the opportunity into perspective, as a corporation, ticket revenues exceeded $14 billion in 2019. So, just a 1% increase in revenues is $140 million annually. That adds up to $1 billion in just over 7 years. But seizing the opportunity to increase revenues can be complicated. Historically, our revenue management teams worked through stacks of Excel sheets with data on things like historical bookings, current bookings, market factors, and exchange rates. And then they set prices. Very manual and very inefficient. It was easy to see that we needed a new system with advanced analytics to set prices. But there was no off-the-shelf solution, and it didn't make financial sense for any one brand to build a state-of-the-art system on their own. And keep in mind that each brand had, and still has, separate revenue management teams and processes, reporting to separate commercial officers and brand presidents. Despite those hurdles, because of the common need and desire to be best in class, 6 brands came together and with the help of the world's leading analytics company, Revenue Analytics, built a joint solution, Yoda. Suffice it to say, the project was a huge success, bringing immense pride to the whole corporation. We empowered our teams with sophisticated analytics modules provided in a simple interface to improve our yield performance. We took a diverse set of brands, combined the best practices of each, and built a system that was more powerful than any one of them could have obtained. Not only did we build some really fancy science, but we also transformed business processes and how we do business, all due to advanced analytics and operations research. Since the launch, a 7th brand has joined, and we are always expanding our use of Yoda. Of course, not to be overlooked, we increased revenue yields by about 2%. So, Yoda is still a priority for Carnival, and as Arnold said, it will continue to be part of our pricing decisions. And now, I'll turn it over to Deanna Austin, the Chief Commercial Officer of our largest brand on Yoda, Princess. Deanna oversaw the project for her brand and will explain the impact to her team.
Thank you, Josh, and greetings to everyone around the world. At Princess Cruises, we are no stranger to video calls, even before COVID. With offices in Sydney, Australia, Los Angeles, 6 offices in Asia, and 1 in the UK, it is always daylight somewhere. On behalf of all of our brand's senior executives within the corporation, I want to share with you today my perspective on Yoda. Like many businesses in our sector, the majority of our people work to ensure our guests have amazing cruise holidays. As the business lead, I oversee global commercial functions, including marketing, sales, and revenue management. The revenue management teams, which exist within each brand, are responsible for setting ticket prices and managing inventory in order to optimize revenue on all voyages. Our top priority for all the brands was to ensure YODA was a success. Over the decades, there have been a few leaps in our revenue management capabilities. The first was the move from a paper-based system to a computerized booking system in the early 70s. The second was our first steps into operations research when Princess launched a yield management system in the mid-2000s. And now YODA brings us to the next level, utilizing scientific rigor and decision support tools which empower our teams to maximize revenue. Revenue management in the cruise industry has several features which make it different from and more complex than either hotels or airlines. Some examples are that cruises are booked up to 3 years in advance. Analytics showed us that there are several distinct periods in a booking cycle which must be considered separately. As well, cruises are frequently marketed inclusive of components which can be a large percentage of the overall fare, such as airfares, Alaskan land tours, or inclusive drinks packages. In addition, we have high costs of buy-off due to overfilling when a cruise is oversold near departure. And there are low marginal costs of filling the extra beds, as well as incremental onboard revenue from those extra bookings. As you can see in this example, it is possible to have thousands of price points on an individual cruise, similar to pricing each seat independently on an A380, which is why we need automation. All of these challenges must often be solved within a network of voyages, which means we need a system which optimizes both price and inventory together across this network. For cruising, the number of cabins on a cruise ship, like hotel rooms, is fixed. Selling too few cabins early means you come to a point where you're going to have empty cabins on the ship unless you take some action. Although other actions are possible, sometimes we do drop our prices. Because a significant portion of our total revenue comes from guests' onboard purchases, there is a very strong incentive to sail full. That is, to leave as few cabins as possible empty. If late price drops are required, we make less and cause friction among guests. Our guests are more likely to find out about prices and price differences as they are spending a week or more together, perhaps meeting others at dinner or a show, and discovering they have paid very different fares for the same type of accommodation. Conversely, selling out a cruise too early not only means we could have made more money by selling at a higher price, but can also lead to being oversold at sailing. Now, like airlines, cruise companies oversell voyages to mitigate against future cancellations. However, when a voyage is oversold and close to sailing, the buy-off is very expensive and can actually be substantially more than the cruise fare itself. This is because while the next flight from LA to Denver might be in an hour, the next cruise from LA to Hawaii doesn't leave for a month. So these guests have already made all of their vacation plans, purchased their air tickets, made other arrangements to be out of town away from work. So it is quite costly for us to convince them to move off of their vacation date. Along with all of this, we also have the added complexity in that many of our cruises are sold as a network. For a network of voyages, we are selling 2 different itineraries that overlap to customers on the same ship at the same time. For instance, in this simple network, we have a ship that's sailing 2 consecutive weeks. We are selling the full 14-day voyage, but also the 2 7-day voyages independently. A critical component of inventory management is allocating the cabins among the 3 voyages. In order not to waste cabins during the 14-day period, we actually need to match demand to the inventory by cabin type, inside, ocean view, balcony, and suite. So let's now look at the network for a series of voyages. This real-world example is an extension of the previous slide. For this series, we have 2 alternating itineraries. Every 7-night voyage combines to form a 14-night voyage. In total, we have 13 7-night voyages, combining to form 12 14-night voyages, for a total of 25 voyages. This allows a more flexible deployment so that we can appeal to a broader range of guests, those who want a 1-week vacation, along with those who want 2 weeks. This ultimately leads to higher revenues as we can optimize and balance the demand among these options. The inventory and pricing decisions on each of these voyages become intimately linked. Additionally, we impose guest-friendly constraints, such as pricing on consecutive 7-night voyages should at least have the same, if not a higher combined price than the associated 14-night voyage. Some networks span 3 to 4 months, go around the globe, or are made up of more than 100 individual components. This means that prices need to be optimized on all of these networks simultaneously, not sequentially. So, after 3 years and a huge amount of effort, how are we better off with YODA? Well, beyond the price recommendations, which are simply something we never had before, the process of building YODA has taught us so much about what is important and what is not when it comes to revenue management. With respect to the recommendations themselves, we learned that no matter how much we believe in the system, we will always want to have an analyst review the recommendations to put them into a broader context and consider things YODA doesn't, such as elections or pandemics. Part of this process is giving the analyst the tools to understand YODA's recommendations by providing key inputs and insights through the user interface and numerous associated reports. Additionally, YODA provides a confidence assessment in its answers, along with warnings about behaviors on the voyage which do not conform to its expectations. YODA empowers analysts to focus on the key decisions that will drive revenue, rather than the many decisions which probably won't. YODA provides a prioritized cruise list and allows pricing to be input at different levels, such as cabin type, or by currency, or even for specific categories. High-level views allow quick decision-making, with automation at the lower level, meaning many changes can be made quickly. Lower-level pricing choices require more work, but allow for more customization. Key for Princess is a much improved ability to manage pricing in different currencies. By linking like markets together, we can manage all currencies in an effective way and reduce workload compared to our previous system. While all of the brands may have started in different places, by bringing all of these people together from the different brands, from the UK, from Australia, and also in LA and Seattle, along with working with the people from Revenue Analytics, we were able to draw on a wide variety of experiences in the cruise industry and operations research more generally. At Princess, for example, we already had an existing retention model that worked pretty well, and we actually used this for benchmarking YODA when we first started to use it. Other brands had demand pace models over time. However, there were also weaknesses that needed to be addressed. Some brands had minimal data warehouse capabilities, while others had no significant internal operations research capability. Through the YODA project, we were able to bring all of the brands to a high level of capability in all areas in a way that could not have been achieved if we had acted alone. This resulted in strong bonds among the folks working at the different brands, and we have continued to have strong collaboration to work on the new challenges that we face. This ultimately allows us to make the analyst's work more meaningful and engaging, which has also improved our retention of key personnel. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Corrado to talk more about how the complexity of the project of itself unfolded. Thank you.
Thank you, Gianna. To build this incredible system, we first had to create a proper team. We identified key internal talents to be fully or partially dedicated to the YODA project. We also recruited specific talents to integrate missing staff or skills, especially in operations research. And of course, we selected revenue analytics as our strategic and experienced partner. More than 50 people in the US, Europe, and Australia have been working on a daily basis to build YODA. The success of this team has several ingredients. One ingredient is the strong technical and science knowledge. Each brand and revenue analytics brought to the project an operations research team, a data team, and a team of revenue management subject matter experts. We also had an IT shared service team who helped with the technical architecture. A second ingredient of success was the rigorous program management, which helped to keep us on time and on budget. Each brand had a project manager and a business leader heavily responsible to keep the effort on track with the coordination of the All Brands Group strategy team. A third ingredient was definitely the tight alignment with the business and strategic needs and a strong support by senior leaderships. Chief commercial officers, chief strategy officers, and chief information officers, and even our brand presidents and CEO formed the YODA steering and sponsor committees, which provided regular guidance since the start of the project. Ingredients of success were not simply about who worked, but also how we worked. People commitment was incredible. Everyone went the extra mile, and due to time zones differences, people frequently took early morning or late night video calls to meet with the global team. Besides video calls, we often collocated in one of the offices around the world. These collocations were a magic moment where team members with diverse backgrounds and cultures had a chance to deeply know and appreciate each other also on a personal level. Just like a family, it became natural to have fun and memorable moments, like climbing the Harbour Bridge in Sydney, doing early morning team runs, or even having a holiday party, as you can see in some of these pictures. One last aspect essential to the team's success was the creation of a common language and approach. Before the project, each brand had own data definition, own reporting, and own processes. For instance, market definitions were different. US brands simply had a seasonal Oceania market, while our Australian brand divided that into a variety of markets, according to their itineraries. Even the reporting week was different. Some did Sunday through Saturday, while others did Monday through Sunday. While YODA is a very flexible and transportable system and allows for multiple users and brand configuration, it was very important to reach alignments on many aspects. Therefore, we created BAM, a brand alignment matrix, to identify where alignment was needed. With the help of the BAM, we gathered in a room and worked through all of the misalignments incredibly fast. When alignment was reached, we would all scream, BAM! We were even able to BAM out how to spell optimizations. Americans had it with a Z, British with the S, and finally we agreed to put the dollar sign and everybody was happy. Now, let me turn to two operations research specialists who will better explain how YODA maximizes simultaneously price and inventory and addresses some of the unique peculiarities of the cruise industry. First, we'll have Justin Beck from our P&O Australia brand, and then Danny Liescu from Revenue Analytics. Thank you.
Thank you, Corrado. The basic principle of revenue management is maximizing revenue by selling a product, in our case cruise cabins, at an optimal price. In the simplest case, we have a situation where we expect demand to increase as price decreases, and vice versa. When we consider that revenue can be simply expressed as a product of price and demand, we can see that there is a natural peak in such a curve. The price at which revenue is maximized is called the optimal sale price, in our case for cruise cabins. In cruise, we cannot easily make more cabins, so we have a maximum number of cabins which we can sell. This limits the demand at any price and changes the shape of the revenue curve and can change the optimal value. As with airlines in cruising, we have a situation where guests can cancel after their booking but prior to taking their trips. This means we can actually sell more cabins than we have available in a process known as overselling or overbooking. The revenue received is greater than it would be without selling those additional cabins. So this all seems pretty straightforward. What makes this a complex problem to solve? Well, as Deanna noted earlier, there can be thousands of different types of demand on a cruise, and these all need to be modelled independently because the demand is different and the prices can be different and independent. Some examples of this are cabin occupancies, a family of 4 travelling together versus a couple, for example, newlyweds. I've been in both of these categories in the past. Different cabin types, for example, interior cabins with no outside windows versus expansive suites which might have dedicated room service. Different sale periods, for instance, those customers who book when a cruise is launched versus those who are looking for a last-minute deal. Different fare conditions, and as we've discussed previously, different voyages within a network of voyages. The dimensionality of this problem is clearly large. Visualizing this problem back in 2 dimensions, one of the complexities is the interaction between these segments. We explicitly allow for things such as upgrading from lower type cabins to higher type cabins, ensuring cabins booked now can't be booked later, ensuring that a cabin initially filled with 2 people can't have 2 other people added later, making sure that inventory is conserved across a network. The complexity of these interactions quickly blows up beyond the comprehension of mere humans. Now, each of these demand curves is based on a complex set of models, which leads to literally billions of data points. In considering the demand curves, we consider a range of factors, some of which are common in revenue management, others less common, and some of which are unique to our application. Because Yoda was developed from the ground up, even those more common models were able to be tailored to specifically meet our needs. Additionally, because the brands are meaningfully different, the models are heavily parameterized, so they can be tuned to best meet the needs of each and every brand. In fact, there are literally thousands of parameters which can be tuned to ensure that errors are minimized and the predictive power of the models is as great as possible. It won't come as a surprise to anyone in this audience that stitching these models together is as important, if not more important, than the models themselves. And while it is difficult to build a model of this without giving away our intellectual property, this diagram does indicate that different models run on different schedules. For instance, some models need to run daily, while others might run quarterly to save on runtime and also induce additional stability into the model. One of the models which deserves special mention is our use of an innovative exponential market response model. A market response model, or elasticity model, describes how demand changes with respect to potential price changes. In industrial applications, it's common to have a linear model which does not vary with time. For such linear models, under certain assumptions, it is provable that the optimal pricing trajectory is also constant in time. This is an undesirable property in cruising. The main reason for choosing a more complex model is to allow for this nonlinear optimal pricing trajectory with respect to time. We know from years of experience and analysis that this trajectory is important. For example, we might expect that customers desperate to book their favourite cabin as soon as a cruise is released have a much higher willingness to pay than someone who is looking only for a last-minute discount. Further, we know that the demand response that we get with pricing is not linear. While for small changes, we tend to see a linear response, when a cruise is heavily discounted, we know that we see an exponential response in demand. Being able to correctly account for this, especially in the historical data, was incredibly important for the success of our application. The use of a non-linear elasticity and the calculation of different elasticities at different points in time was one of the things that made Yoda a truly innovative operations research project. It does, however, create significant complexities in the optimization stage, and that led to further innovation in order to overcome. Introducing Dan Iliescu now from Revenue Analytics.
Thank you, Justin. We partner with Carnival to build a completely new platform that would transform and align pricing and revenue management practices across 6 different brands. We are extremely honored to be part of this amazing team. We leverage our deep understanding of revenue management and pricing across different industries as a stepping stone to promote innovation and deliver intuitive answers that empower business users. We are extremely proud of Yoda delivering on that promise by using models and methods that are portable to many other companies in the travel and hospitality sector, such as joint optimization applicable to cruise industry, like selling predictions applicable to casino industry, exponential market response model applicable to all industries with non-linear effects between demand and price. I will continue the analytical overview started by Justin by taking a closer look at the operational complexities associated with cruise inventory and price management, introducing the concept of cruise joint optimization, and presenting the key features that make it novel and complex. Cruise inventory and price management is quite complex even for skilled analysts. Each week before a voyage sails, an analyst has to allocate ship capacity for long networks of overlapping voyages, determine twin cabins and quad cabins allocations, generate a pricing plan for different time intervals, enforce complex price business rules across multiple grains, determine bundle prices for air travel or land tour excursions. These activities are conducted for multiple voyages part of a trade, such as Alaska, Caribbean, or transatlantic. Decision-making complexity is compounded by the large number of recommendations. Pricing plan is maintained across fare type, cabin grades, and markets. Inventory allocations are maintained across voyages, cabin grades, and occupancy type. To address all these challenges, we needed an engine that was able to solve for both. This has never been done in the cruise industry, and to our knowledge, the application of a joint optimization is a first in the revenue management and pricing. Unlike airlines, where the price buckets are inputs used to determine the number of seats offered at each price level, or hotels, where the optimal price levels are determined based on market response models, we simultaneously determine inventory and price levels for multiple voyages, cabins, all around the world and across multiple time periods. Let's take the example of the Sea Princess departing on June 5, 2021 on a round-the-world cruise. This network is composed of 4 overlapping voyages that compete for the same inventory. In this case, we need to allocate the right ship cabins inventory to the right voyages. The cruise-only price and the add-on price for the 3rd and the 4th passenger are part of a pricing plan set across multiple time intervals. More complicated examples would need prices for air transportation or land tour excursions. In this case, we need to offer the right bundle price to the right customer for current and future time intervals. So what are the features that allow Yoda to address both price and inventory at the same time? The right side of the optimization engine allows pricing flexibility, updating many price points daily. This is done for each voyage within a network, and it starts with optimizing the cruise-only pricing plan across time intervals, cabin grades, fare types, and markets. In addition, for Alaska or Fry Caribbean trades, we optimize a cruise tour bundle price or a base air bundle price plan anchor in the lead air city or the lead cruise tour and post-process based on demand patterns. The left side of the optimization engine allows organizing ship inventory into allocations. This is done for the entire network with the goal of determining the total number and the type of cabins allocated to physical voyages and their overlapping voyages, called logicals. Inventory shifts are constrained by nested capacity constraints and the overall safety limit, and also consider the mix between twins and quad cabins. The inventory portion of the optimization engine can also be turned on. In addition to building the first joint optimization, the team had to overcome several additional challenges. Optimizing 1 million price points and 6,000 voyage allocations daily led to several rounds of calibration and performance tuning that ensure a fast solve time for all 6 brands. The onboarding of AIDA led to a modified launch optimization mode for which go-to-market prices and voyage allocations are unknown. Significant differences in demand patterns for 3rd and 4th beds across brands led to optimizing in a lower berth mode versus optimizing in a twin quad mode, each with different inputs and model formulations. A big part of the credit for delivering such an amazing system that positively impacted the bottom line of the company goes to the close interaction between the system users and the development team. We all firmly believe that a successful delivery can only occur if the people who are responsible for revenue management use the system to help them make the best decision possible on an ongoing basis. At this point in time, I would like to turn it over to Caroline HANDISIDES, who is the Director of Revenue Management.
Hey everyone, from Sydney, Australia, one of the world's most popular cruise destinations, where the cruise ships dock in Circular Quay, right in between the Sydney Harbour Bridge and the Sydney Opera House. For me, Yoda has changed the job of our revenue analysts, providing recommendations and a depth of analytics that simply didn't exist before. Knowing that Yoda is taking care of so many moving pieces allows us to focus our time and attention on the more subjective parts of our decision making. While we undergo days of training to become familiar with Yoda, we also rely on a dedicated support team to help us with the more complex issues and to continuously tune models when required.
Hello everybody, my name is Josh Leibowitz and I have the pleasure of closing out today's presentation. Over the last several years, I've been the chief sponsor of the Yoda project. I was the chief strategy officer of Carnival Corporation. I'm now the president of Seabourn, one of our brands in our portfolio and an ultra luxury cruise line. I've gone from being project sponsor to a huge user of the product Yoda. And as we've talked about along the way, Yoda has not only increased revenues, but it's also transformed our business. As some examples, we've introduced new fare types so guests can pay for what they value. We've been able to identify guests who have a high likelihood of canceling and reach out to them directly as a way of retaining that business and getting them excited about a vacation. And we've also maximized the total revenue through joint decision-making and management of the inventory. So how do we determine revenue uplift? Well, we do that through A/B testing. And so we set up test groups with diverse geographies, durations, source mix, and products, all managed in Yoda. And we had a control group of equivalent products that we managed in our legacy way. And then we set up a formula and we looked at the lift in yield between this year and prior year for the Yoda managed products and the control products. And what we saw in that case, as we've talked about before, was a 1.5% to 2.5% lift in revenue. And in the yield world, as many of you may know, that kind of lift is a substantial improvement to the business. So I want to close highlighting some of the accomplishments of Yoda. We implemented this global project on time and on budget. We faced incredible difficulty in bringing together brands, but we set a new benchmark in collaboration, one that we're very proud of. We introduced new analytic modules that can be transported to other industries, new ways of solving the problem. We innovated with joint pricing and inventory optimization and non-linear elasticity. And importantly, we had a direct impact on our total revenue. And it's that revenue that helps to support not just the Yoda team, but the 120,000 employees and crew members of the Carnival Corporation. So in closing, we look to the wise words of Yoda, who says, no, try not, do or do not. There is no try. I want to thank the entire Edelman panel, the entire Edelman community. I'd like to say congratulations to all the other nominees. We feel so fortunate and privileged to be among this group. We thank you for coming together during these unusual times. We thank you for the interest in the Yoda work. We're very proud of what we've done, and we're very proud how durable and how useful this product is, even as we operate in these highly unusual times. Thank you so much. Be safe and be well.